Hey everyone, welcome to Sugar Melts. It is September. I should probably be working on Christmas cards, but I'm not. So today we're going to be doing a really fun card that I'm just going to call it Back to Basics because we don't need any fancy equipment. We don't need even dies or a die cutter machine. We don't even need markers or anything. All you need is your some paper and none of the pretty paper either. We're just going to be working off of plain paper so your favorite stamps and some ink, and that's all it's going to take for this card. What this is we're going to be using our stamps and our favorite inks to layer the image. And this one I did put a die on the front, but what we're doing is I'm using on the background. You may be able to see here. Can you see that? There's it's really faint. I used a big background stamp, very light, and then I built up the images to make this sort of watercolor abstract wildflower garden effect. And the way this works, of course, we have matting. You know, I love different colors of matting to give it that framed look. Also, it helps when you're considering, okay, what stamps do I use? I want to follow along. What inks do I want to use? We're going to be going from lightest to darkest for the most part when we're stamping. So the only technique we'll be mainly using will be stamping off. We'll be using stamping off a lot. So have some scrap paper available. And I'll show you what I did here. So here's the first example. And this is 3 layers along with a layer on the inside. And the stamps that I used, I have this old background dictionary stamp, which is really nice for these kinds of effects because it can be very light, it can be very dark, but it can build up from there. Another one that I've used on, I think it was, oops, sorry, didn't mean to bump the camera. I'm so sorry. On this yellow and green one was from French Foliage. I have this little French expression here, and I stamped off and used that multiple times. If you have the more recent Very Versailles, this is a beautiful stamp that would work really well. The one that I used on this one, because I've got a bunch of background stamps, is this beautiful, it's actually a Tim Holtz stamp. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And so we'll be using this. So this is a great project, whether you just bought your first stamps or whether you've been doing this for years, because it's fairly fast, it's fairly easy, it doesn't take a lot of technical stuff, it's creative, it's forgiving, even if you are not a good stamper. You can see by the way the images merge that if it isn't a full effect, you're going to be stamping off anyway, so any mistake can be hidden, trust me on that. So this is a great project for all of those. It's creative, it's colorful, it's for that day when you don't want stamping or crafting to be just, you know, a job, another task, another thing on your to-do list. This is something we do to escape, to have fun, to relax, to be creative. And this allows us to do that. You'll notice again on my cards, I did not put on the inside sentiment. I may have on this one. Nope, no sentiments. Because for me, these may work for Mother's Day. It's a beautiful day on this one, I guess. But you can do thank you cards, sympathy cards, birthday. So I'm just probably not going to put a sentiment on it. And then when the time comes for me to use the card, I can quickly stamp a sentiment inside when I'm getting ready to send the card. So we're not going to do the die cut today. If you're interested, that's just a simple butterfly die cut. And then I stamped using, let's see, oops, I have this image here. Did not touch that, sorry. It's all the dots, and I stamped on the butterfly. I think it was after I punched it out, and then I just sponged to get the rest of the coloring on here. So that was all I did, and then I glued it down with some glue dots. Oh, here's the image right here. Okay, so this was the die that I've used. If you have this set here on this beautiful butterfly, so that worked out lovely. But definitely for today, we're just going to keep it straightforward. It's just going to be stamping, nothing fancy, just back to basics. I will use a foam mat just because I find that regardless of the stamp that I use, I'm usually happier having the foam mat already underneath. I do use an oversized one just because that way I don't lose sight of where my edge is. I have a couple smaller ones, but this one has served me well. I'm gonna use just a piece of scrap paper. It's a old recipe card, basically. I like to use for this project, I've been really happy with this vanilla off-white shade. It just adds a little more warmth to what we're doing. And all I did was I've got a piece of 8.5 by 11 of the card, cut in half to 5.5 by 4.25, scored, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. And then I've got the mattings on top. So bring those next two pieces in, and you've got one in, bring it in by 1/4 of an inch, and then another one by yet another 1/4 of an inch on both sides. And then this piece will stamp a little bit inside just to give it a little bit of sturdiness, since this will be where you're writing. If you're using heavy cardstock, you may not need it, but I just I prefer it that way. But we'll do that piece last. Okay, so the only other thing you may want to do with this project that I did on my most recent card here, I'm not sure you can see on the edges here, it's a little rough. And what I did, there's different ways of making that texture, that sort of old-fashioned torn paper. You can tear the paper, of course, and practice on paper that you're not committed to, just to be sure. Make sure you've practiced and you know how to do that. First time can be sad if you tear paper you love. I also have this old-fashioned, not old-fashioned, but older, I don't think it's available on the market anymore. You may have to go to eBay to find it. It's a Tim Holtz texturizer. You bring the paper inside. But as I said, I promised today would be about not having to have anything technical. So my favorite of all of these different instruments, though, is just to use my this nail file. I've got several nail files down here, and funny thing, even the cheapest one is my favorite. But I already, did an edge here to show you what it'll look like, and I'll just do a quick run through of how to do this. You just pretty firm on that. Just do like this to get that texture, and then go the opposite way. And again, since you're going for texture, I wouldn't worry about a little tiny crease there. That's going to be fine. It's going to work itself out. And just go like this until you get kind of the texture that you're looking for. Super easy. And a little, splitting there, you can peel that back and get that, the look that you're striving for. But that's all it takes to get that rougher edge and get rid of that crisp, clean lines, if that's what you're looking for. Does make kind of a sawdusty mess, which is part of the reason why my craft room is just desperate need of vacuuming, but I don't foresee that happening in the near future. So got a bunch of stamps out. So let's talk about ink. What we'll do for ink today is I have been happiest when I pick kind of 2 to 3 color schemes. So I've got a couple of sort of that plum purple look. This is also a great card for your retired inks. So if you've got some retired inks that you don't have matching paper for, or you don't really have enough to coordinate a full card on it, this is a great project for that because it's just going to blend in beautifully in the background. So that's this, the Fresh Fig, which is no longer available, is a lovely color for this. And then I've got some greens here. Got about 4 greens because, again, I don't know what we're going to end up doing. And my retired one in this set that I have out today is the old Tranquil Tide, which was so beautiful. I've also got some others that are newer, and we'll just see what we end up as we stamp off and see what we like. I do have some yellow here. It's called So Saffron to offset that. And what I'll probably do is kind of like in here, have most of it yellow and greens, and then have something to pop up with dragonflies or butterflies, and you see the little dots in there just to give it that kind of depth with dew, or the way the sun glistens when you're in the near a pond or in a field of wildflowers. We've all seen that kind of sparkle glittery that we see from the sunlight, and that just gives it that kind of special touch. So that's about all I can say about this so far. I've got a bunch of stamps pulled out from all different sets, and we'll just see here what we're using. Let's see, I've got from Beauty of Tomorrow, I've got a couple of these 2 stamps pulled out. From Nature's Prints, I've got these 2 down here pulled out. And then from an oldie, Blooms and Wishes, oh, these little stamps in here, I just love these little tiny flowers. They just add so much of a delicate trim. And then my favorite here in Timeless Textures, I love to use this on the edge. A lot of these, any of these would be beautiful on the edge if you have this set. Don't forget to pull that out. From Awesomely Artistic, I'm probably going to use the Dragonfly just because I really like him. So I've got, like I said, I just pulled out a whole bunch of stamps from all different sets, and we're going to see what happens. I've got these little butterflies from Dragonfly Garden, and these little tiny dots that I was talking about, that effect that butterflies give. This little spots here, we may use those. I don't know. I've got them all set up. So I don't know. Don't worry. It's all going to come together, I figure. So got my cards. The front card, always go back and measure just to make sure you've got your smallest one here. Oh, look at this. See, I messed up the back. It's going to be used today, though. We're going to use the front of it. Never fear. Almost anything can be recovered, right? Almost anything can be recovered. So this was when I was sponging and it got caught in the wrong spot. So it's all good. So I'm going to use this beautiful script, this Tim Holtz stamp, and let's see here. I want to get another piece of scrap paper because, oops, I just have a feeling that we'll be stamping off a lot. So I want to make sure again, it doesn't have to be perfect because this is a very forgiving process here. So on these big stamps, many of you remember this technique where you, instead of moving the stamp around, you can just move the ink pad around on this and get that all nice and inked up, however you want that to be. And then because I want it so light, I'm just going to take my first glance here, stamp off. That's good. And then I'm going to stamp on here. There we go. Oh, isn't that lovely? So that's just enough background to give it some texture, to give it some depth. Very happy with that. And then the fun part begins. So now we get to pick which leaves, flowers, blossoms we're going to use. I've got these 4. And as I said, I want to go lighter to darker so that the upper layers are the darker images. I've been really happy with how that looks. So I'm going to start with yellow. It is so saffron. And see if it cooperates. And I could put this down, or sometimes just get kind of lazy, and you may find that the ink that you're using is light enough and you don't even need to stamp off, but that's kind of dark there. So that was a good call to stamp off. And there we do another image, just adding that beautiful texture. They won't even hardly realize what they're looking at there. So I can just keep going kind of all the way around until I'm content with that second layer here. And then I can do a little bit over here and even a little bit there. And it barely shows up, so light against that vanilla especially, but just that subtlety and the difference of tones. And then I've got this green fern type thing. So my next lightest color is probably Soft Succulent. So let's play with that, see if I like that. If you're not sure which colors you're going to use, the other thing to keep handy, I always have a bag of wet wipes around, because then if I change my mind, I don't know about you guys, but for me, the place where I clean my stamps, I don't want it right next to my stamps. I don't want to get things too messy. So sometimes just having a wet wipe available to wipe off the stamp and use another color can keep me focused and keep me on track. So just a thought to keep those around as you try a color, may decide you don't want it. So here we go. So probably 2 and 3 are going to be my best. As you can see, just keep kind of stamp off there. 1, oh, that's pretty. Then 2, and then we'll just do another image here. Go, just keep kind of building this up. Here we go. There we go. And that's layer number 3. Super easy. So you can see, like I said, even if you're don't even think you're a good stamper, you don't do this very often, it's hard to get that perfect image sometimes. This is a great project to come up with a really pretty card because it's so forgiving, so very forgiving. Okay, so we've done these 2 stamps, and now we'll get into something, this other one here, and I'll try Tranquil Tide. Oh gosh, haven't even used this stamp in a long time. Another good reason if you're using Retired to stamp off first to make sure your ink pad hasn't dried out from neglect. So, they do suffer from neglect, don't they? So let's do like that, like that. Oh, see how that's all coming together where you can barely even distinguish the one image from the other. They just kind of like a wildflower field. We do love our wildflowers here in Colorado, so this is just something I really enjoy. When I can't figure out what else I'm going to stamp, but I know I want to play in my craft room, I'll just start with nature, start with trees, leaves, and see what happens that day when I'm stamping. And then I'll do maybe this Evening Evergreen, which is another beautiful stamp. It coordinates so well with the soft succulent, but it is dark. So definitely you want to stamp off at least once when using that for this project at least. I've got this image here, but maybe I'll jump into these little flowers that are so delicate and pretty and accent really well. Okay, so let's see what this one looks like. There we go, very nice. And I stamp off 3 times again, just to see which I'm gonna like the most. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Oh, it just blends really perfectly. Just can barely even tell that it's a different stamp, different ink color. And so pick 3 to 4, 5 colors within the color wheel that really go together, whether they're in the reds or the blues, purples, greens, yellows, whatever your color is, whatever project you're working on. And see how they all come together when you just use different shades of them. Again, 3 different greens, and then as you're stamping off, that gives you up to 9 different shades. I mean, it's such a pretty project. So do 1 more up in there, 1 more in there. Oh, really happy with that. That may be all I need to do. Maybe 1 more. Okay, maybe 1 more over here. I just love it. Just really happy with how this is turning out. And okay, so then we're gonna do, I've got these little butterflies. Haven't used them yet, so on one of these cards. So I want to make sure that the it's not too that it kind of coordinates the style enough. I think that's going to work. So then we can also stamp these off if they're too dark. Yeah, I think I like it better stamped off. It looks a little closer to gray than just straight up black. So I'm gonna put those down in there. That's fun. Stamp off, put them up there, a few more. Oh, love it. And then, yeah, I still want to do my dragonfly. So I got my dragonfly here, and put him right in the middle. So the butterflies look like they're kind of in the background. Make sure I got a good stamp. That's pretty dark. So don't want this guy quite so dark. So we'll put you right there. Very nice. And maybe one more off to the side. Stamp off so it's not pitch black. And it's okay for stamps go off the page, of course. Oh, isn't that just really cute? So if you have a sponge, you can certainly sponge the edges. If you have your nail file, you can certainly rough in sort of the edges here. You can use a black marker and draw on the edge just to give it a finished touch. The other thing you can do, just to get it a little crisper on the edge, is just very carefully get a little bit of black edge. You may want to hold both ends here. See how I just kind of run it along there? And that way, even if you don't have the marker, you can still get kind of that effect of what a marker would do or a sponge would do. So just using what we have. There we go. So it just gives it a little bit of that shadow effect when it goes on to the next layer, the next paper. Okay, so, ooh, that's super cute. Get these stamps all out of here. La, la, la. And then we'll have our next layer here. So this will be the matting behind this. And we can do, I'm thinking either the green or the black. And then we'll have a little bit more on the mounted side. I'm thinking probably black would really draw that out. Let's see. And, you know, if we don't like it, we change it. It's all good. So everything's forgiven. So I've got this this stamp from Timeless Textures, and I'm just gonna use a little bit on the edges here just to keep it. I don't even use the whole stamp. I don't know that I ever have, actually. I've just used the edges of it like this, and I just love the way it doesn't hide the paper completely. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then when you put this on top, oh, I like that a lot. That looks really nice. And so then I want to do something on this page. And I really love use I think a green would be really good. Maybe that the evergreen might be a little dark. So how about the soft succulent? Let's see if we like that. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to clean this stamp using one of these little wipes here. Watch your fingers. I am the queen of having messy fingers. So just, this is, you just want to get all that black ink off of there. And this way, when it doesn't take so long to dry, you're not held up in the process of finishing your project really fast. And boom, you throw that in the trash. Super fast. So this stamp though, let's see what the color is, because this comes out, let's do another piece of paper so I can have a better sense of the colors. So when I stamp that, oh, that looks really nice. Look at that, that comes through really well. Okay, so I'm just gonna do that full color. I'm not even going to stamp that off because that comes in kind of somewhere in between the evergreen and that stamped off soft succulent and the tranquil tide. It just seems to all coordinate. So, oops, got my finger in that. Thanks, gotta watch that now. There we go. And if you want a little more, see how I kind of missed there? You just go back over it. Can't even tell. This is so look in your stamp collection, see if you've got stamps that'll kind of support this process. And then what we do is we're going to be gluing this down. So let's see if that's the image that we like. I really love how that looks. That's just very watercolory, very spring. I want to do a small piece for the inside for where our sentiment will be. So let's go back and kind of get ready for that again. And you can certainly be more organized than I am and do it at the same time. But, well, you know, let's see. Stamp off. And I'm just going to do down in the corner. I'm not going to cover the whole card. So I'll just do a couple of, there's that one. And then I did this in soft succulent. So be real careful here. You don't want to accidentally stamp the wrong image and mess up your ink pads. That would be very sad. So, oops. See what I did there? Got a little bit of the edge. That's okay. That's what we're doing here, right? We can fix anything. Fix it all. Okay, Tranquil Tide. And that's going to be this one. Here we go. See what it looks like. Okay, I like the second one the best. And I'm going to fill in right there and right there. Very pretty. Oh my gosh. You know what I didn't do though? Oh, I've still got to go back and do this. I promised that we would put some splash of red on here. So this is the perfect time while I've got both of them. I have lots and lots of these little dot stamps, and I like to keep track of them because this is a great project for these, just to give it that contrast. Let's see which one we like. So I've got this one. I haven't used this stamp on the card yet. It's a little busy, but I do like it. Stamp off once. Let's see what happens there. Oh, that looks good. Just enough to give it a little bit of contrast. There we go. Maybe one more. Maybe two. There we go. And if you want to put the butterflies over here, of course, that's totally fine. I'll probably do that in a minute. Let me just finish up with this one here. You really can't have too many of these dots. They just add such a nice accent. Kind of like if you think about when you see somebody who's wearing a black suit or a black dress, and you think, gosh, are they going to a funeral? But if they throw a red scarf on it, you're like, oh my gosh, that's the most fashion-forward person I've ever met. So there's something about the eye where it sees a little bit of contrast and somehow brings out the green, the Tranquil Tide, the soft succulent even more. Just having that, you know, it's so interior design now where they do these accent walls. Again, the same kind of idea. It's helps to highlight the other, its exact opposite. Oh, I really like how that turned out. And I'm going to look at this butterfly again. Do I want butterflies on the inside? Kind of think I do. Who wouldn't want more butterflies? Can you ever have too many butterflies? Really? So let's see here. Let me look at the butterflies again. Okay. What if we just do a couple of butterflies like right there? That's cute. Okay, like that. Just a touch. Okay, so not too messy. Just got some scrap paper, but you can see how quick and easy and inexpensive this project is. Oh, I want to do the black on the edge of this real fast. You don't have to spend $2,000 just to get started stamping. It is a little daunting when you look in catalogs or you just go to a Michael's, watching videos, like, I don't know if I even like this yet. I don't want to buy all this stuff yet. And you don't have to. You absolutely don't have to. I think it's best, if I were to start over again, what I would have done, if I know then what I know now, pick a project, pick a card, whether it's Christmas or a birthday card or something you like, and just buy the products you need to make that one project, to make that one card. Instead of saying, I need all of these and all of that, find out one card that you like, and then you can build off of that. Pick your favorite color, whatever that looks like. And from there, you'll be able to get a nice collection without a lot of things that you may never need or use. More importantly, you may just never use them. So this, that would be what I wish I had done. So, but that wasn't my approach. Okay, I am need of glue. Never run out of glue when you're doing these projects. I feel like I'm always so close to I feel like I keep buying it, but yet I'm always feel like I'm almost out all the time. And I definitely don't want to run out. So, okay, let's get our paper up. And we're going to glue this down, center it right where I want it. Okay, boom. And then I'll glue this piece down. If you get a little close to the edge like I did there, don't worry about it. Just thin it out so it doesn't ooze out. Just make it really thin and kind of drag it back to the center. It's all okay. You can use, if you have dimensionals around, this is a nice time to use them also. But again, because you've got this extra layer on there from the matting, it kind of pops up enough, just enough for the project at least. And then this one here. Okay, get my nasty scrap out from under that. And now we have this beautiful, lovely card that we can use for any number of occasions when that occasion arises. If you want to flatten this out, another way to do that, let me show you here. Get another sheet of scrap paper here. And if you've got this instrument, let's see if I had it here earlier, because I used it earlier today. And here it is. I have this roller thing, and some of you may have it. You can remind me why I bought it. I don't remember. But what I do like it for is to be able to really flatten out if I've glued a project down, to make sure all of it is nice and evenly pressed without getting anything on my fingers on the card. Isn't that just break your heart when at the last minute you accidentally get a smudgy finger on there. So, well, I hope you enjoyed today's quick project. Again, super easy, very forgiving, very flexible, just able to play with your favorite images, your favorite colors without having, to pull out machines and dyes and stuff. It's just a lovely way to just spend an hour stamping and enjoying our hobby, enjoying our craft. So, hey guys, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.